The screaming started at 03 for 7 hours. Commander Voss Kellen jerked awake in his quarters aboard the research vessel Meridian's Edge, his neural implant flooding his consciousness with emergency alerts. Through the reinforced viewport, New Thiesley burned like a dying star against the black of space. What had been humanity's most prosperous outer rim colony 12 hours ago was now a sphere of molten glass, its atmosphere stripped away in brilliant, orange streamers. All hands to stations. Kellen's voice cut through the ship's emergency klaxons as he sprinted toward the bridge, his bare feet slapping against cold metal decking. The Meridian's Edge shuddered as debris from the colony's orbital stations peppered their hull-twisted metal that had once housed 3 million souls. "Commander, we're receiving a transmission," reported Navigator Lyra Blackthorne, her face pale in the crimson emergency lighting. It's from the Velter Dominion." The main display flickered to life, revealing the elongated, manus-like features of High Executive Crestel. His compound eyes gleamed with predatory satisfaction as he addressed the human ship in perfect, clinical English. "Inferior mammals." The alien's mandibles clicked with what might have been amusement. "Your species' expansion into our sacred territories has been noted. New Thiesley serves as an appropriate lesson in consequences. You will withdraw all human presence from Sector 7 Alpha immediately, or we shall repeat this demonstration on your homeworld." The transmission cut to static. Kellen's fist clenched until his knuckles went white. Behind him, the bridge crew worked in stunned silence, their faces reflecting the horror of what they'd witnessed. 3 million people, farmers, scientists, children reduced to stellar debris in minutes, sir, whispered Communications Officer Dex Portman. "We're reading massive gravitational distortions around the Velter fleet. They're using some kind of stellar manipulation technology. They weaponized the system's star," confirmed Chief Science Officer Nia Corvus, her voice hollow with disbelief. "Induced a controlled solar flare and directed it at the colony. The precision required. We've never seen anything like it." Kellen stared at the cooling remains of New Thiesley, his mind racing. The Velter Dominion had revealed their hand. They could turn stars into weapons. Every human colony, every world, was now vulnerable to instantaneous annihilation. The aliens had assumed this would terrify humanity into submission. They'd made a critical error in judgment. "Nia," Kellen said quietly, his voice carrying the weight of command and something darker. "Pull up everything we have on Velter stellar engineering, every sensor reading, every fragment of their technology we've encountered. Commander, with respect, we can, and we will." Kellen turned to face his crew, and they saw something in his eyes that made them step back. It was the look of a predator that had just watched its cubs burned alive. They think they're the only species that can weaponize a star. They're about to learn why humans conquered a galaxy with nothing but fusion drives and stubborn refusal to die. The Meridian's Edge began transmitting on all frequencies a simple message repeated across human space. New Thiesley had fallen, the Velter had declared war, and humanity was calling every ship, every scientist, every resource to respond. What the Velter didn't understand was that humans had spent centuries learning to turn everything into a weapon. Even their own sun wouldn't be safe from human ingenuity and rage. 6 days after New Thiesley's destruction, the first human response fleet arrived at the Kepler 442 system, where Velter forces had established a forward operating base. Admiral Tarek Valdres commanded the assault from the bridge of the dreadnought Retribution's Dawn, leading a task force of 47 ships, every vessel humanity could spare on short notice. "Contact bearing 127 Margate," reported Tactical Officer Zara Quintus. 16 Velter vessels in defensive formation around their installation. Through the main viewer, the alien base resembled a massive crystalline growth attached to an asteroid, its faceted surfaces pulsing with bioluminescent patterns. The Velter ships were equally organic in appearance, sleek, chitinous hulls that seemed to ripple with their own internal light. "All units, this is Valdres. Execute attack pattern Gamma. Make them pay for New Thiesley." The human fleet opened fire first, their particle beams and fusion missiles streaking across the void. The Velter response was immediate and devastating streams of superheated plasma that carved through human armor like tissue paper. The destroyer Galahad died in the first exchange, her reactor core breaching in a miniature star. Evasive maneuvers. Valdres barked as his ship bucked under enemy fire. The Retribution's Dawn rolled hard to port, her point defense systems chattering. As they intercepted incoming projectiles, Around them, the battle devolved into a savage melee as ships from both fleets closed to knife-fighting range. The Velter fought with calculated precision, their weapons systems guided by high-mind coordination. That allowed them to focus fire with lethal efficiency. But humans fought with desperate fury, ramming damaged ships into enemy hulls when their weapons failed. Using every dirty trick learned in centuries of warfare, Captain Yuki Nakamura of the heavy cruiser Valkyrie's Wrath found herself facing the Velter vessels simultaneously. Her ship's armor was already breached in 6 places. Atmosphere venting in crystalline streams. "Ma'am, we've lost main engines and half our weapons," her tactical officer reported through gritted teeth. "Then we use what we have left," Nakamura snarled, keying the ship's intercom. "All hands, prepare for ramming speed. If we're dying today, we're taking these bastards with us." The Valkyrie's Wrath accelerated on maneuvering thrusters alone, her crew singing an ancient war song as they aimed their ship at the larger Velter vessel. The enemy tried to evade, but human stubbornness won out. The cruiser's reinforced prow punched through the alien ship's hull. Like a spear through paper, both ships died in nuclear fire, but the explosion took out the second Velter vessel as well. The battle raged for 6 hours. When it ended, the asteroid base was slag and the Velter fleet was broken. But humanity had paid a terrible price. 23 ships lost, 8,000 crew members dead or missing. Admiral Valdres stood on his damaged bridge, staring at the casualty reports with hollow eyes. "Sir," Zara Quintus approached hesitantly. "We're receiving a priority transmission from Fleet Command. It's about the Velter stellar manipulation technology." The main screen flickered to life, showing Dr. Elena Vasquez, Director of Human Stellar Sciences, broadcasting from the research station as Sol. Her expression was grim, but determined. "Admiral, we've analyzed the sensor data from New Thiesley. The Velter used biomechanical resonance arrays to manipulate stellar magnetic fields, inducing controlled mass ejections. The technology is sophisticated, but not beyond human understanding." Valdres leaned forward. "Can we replicate it?" "Better than that. We can improve it. The Velter limit themselves to their own star systems. But humans, we've never respected boundaries. Give us 3 months, Admiral, 3 months, and we'll show these aliens what happens when you burn our children." The transmission ended, leaving Valdres alone with his thoughts and the debris of battle. Around him, rescue teams worked to save what they could from the wreckage. The Velter had won this engagement, but they had also revealed their weakness. They thought like prey animal, reacting to threats instead of anticipating them. Humans thought like predators, and predators always hunted in packs. 3 weeks after the Kepler 442 engagement, the Velter response was swift and merciless. High Executor Crystal S fleet materialized at the edge of the Centauri system, their bioships emerging from hyperspace like nightmares given form. The Proxima Centauri research colonies never had a chance. Commander Vos Kellen watched the massacre unfold through long-range sensors. Aboard the Meridian's Edge, now part of Admiral Valdres's rapidly expanding task force, the alien fleet had grown to over 200 vessels, their hulls crawling with the same crystalline growths that had adorned their base. "They're not just destroying the colonies," reported Navigator Lyra Blackthorne, her voice tight with controlled terror. "They're harvesting something from the survivors." The tactical display showed Velter landing craft descending on the research stations, like metallic locusts. Biomechanical tendrils extended from their hulls, penetrating the station's hulls with surgical precision through the static of damaged communication rays. They could hear the screams. "Xenobiology teams, we need immediate analysis," Kellen ordered. His jaw clenched so hard his teeth ached. "What are they taking, Dr. Naya?" Corvus hunched over her sensor array, her face pale in the blue glow of her displays. "Neural tissue, Commander. They're extracting human brain matter with the subject still alive. The precision suggests they're harvesting specific memory engrams." The bridge fell silent except for the hum of life support systems and the distant static of dying transmissions through the viewport. Proxima Centauri burned brighter than it had in millennia. The Velter stellar manipulation arrays forcing the red dwarf to pulse with artificial fury. "They're learning," Admiral Valdres's voice crackled through the comm system from his flagship. "Every human they capture, every brain they dissect, gives them more knowledge of our technology, our tactics, our weaknesses." Kellen's hands trembled as he gripped the command chair's armrests. "Sir, we need to evacuate the remaining colonies before." "No." The word cut through the calm like a blade. "We can't outrun them, Commander. They can weaponize any star, turn any system into a death trap. Running just gives them more time to perfect their techniques. Then what do you suggest, Admiral? There was a long pause before Valdres responded, and when he did, his voice carried the weight of a man who'd already made peace with damnation. Dr. Vasquez's team finished their preliminary analysis. We know how the stellar manipulation works. Now we need test subjects. The implications hit Kellen like a physical blow, sir. I'm not suggesting anything, Commander. I'm ordering it. We need live Velter specimens for experimentation. Their biomechanical integration makes them perfect test subjects for our own stellar manipulation research. On the tactical display, the last Centauri research station went dark. Its final transmission a burst of static that might have been a prayer or a curse. The Velter fleet began forming up for their next target. Their movements coordinated with the precision of a single organism. All units, this is Valdres. We have new orders from Fleet Command. Operation Stellicide is now active. We're going to capture live Velter specimens by any means necessary. Kellen closed his eyes, feeling the weight of command settle on his shoulders like a shroud. In the space of 3 weeks, humanity had gone from defending their colonies to planning acts that would have been considered war crimes against any enemy but these. The Velter had started this war by burning children. Now humans were preparing to return the favor with interest. Commander Kellen, you'll lead the boarding parties, Valdres continued. I want prisoners. I want their technology, and I want them to understand that humans don't just fight wars, we perfect them through the comm system. They could hear similar orders being transmitted to dozens of other ships. The human fleet was transforming from a defensive force into something darker, driven by grief and rage into tactics that would haunt them for generations. But as Kellen watched the Velter fleet prepare for their next atrocity, he found he didn't care about the moral implications. They made the rules when they burned New Thiesley. Now humanity would teach them what those rules really meant. The hunt was about to begin. The boarding action began at 00 hours, ship time. Commander Vos Kellen led Assault Team Alpha through the breach in the Velter bioship's hull. His combat suit's sensors painting the alien vessel's interior in stark relief. The corridors pulsed with bioluminescent veins that carried some kind of neural fluid, and the walls themselves seemed to breathe. Movement. 12 o'clock, whispered Sergeant Marcus Wolf, his assault rifle trained on the chitinous archway. Ahead. 3, no, for Tangles. The Velter warriors that emerged from the ship's living walls were nightmare amalgamations of insect and machine. Their primary bodies were similar to High Executor Crestal's manus-like form, but their limbs had been replaced with biomechanical weapons that glowed with internal heat. Plasma cannons grew from their shoulders like tumors, and their eyes had been replaced with targeting arrays that tracked human movement with predatory precision. Fire, Kellen barked. The corridor erupted in violence. Human pulse rifles chattered against Velter plasma streams, the air filling with superheated particles and the acrid smell of burning chitin. Sergeant Rihanna dexed up behind a support strut as enemy fire carved through the space where her head had been, her return shots punching through alien armor with satisfying wet sounds. But the Velter weren't just fighting, they were learning. Each human tactic was analyzed, cataloged, and countered within seconds. When Private Morrison tried to flank left, a Velter warrior anticipated the move and caught him with a plasma burst that melted through his armor like tissue paper. His screams echoed through the corridors until Kellen put him out of his misery. With a headshot, they're adapting to our patterns, Wolf reported, his voice tight with controlled panic. We need to. A new sound cut through the battle, a high-pitched keening that made the humans' bones ache. The ship's walls began to contract, and the neural fluid in the veins turned from blue to angry red. The ship knows we're here, Dr. Naya. Corvus's voice crackled through their comm units from the Meridian's edge. It's treating you like an infection. The entire vessel is mobilizing to purge you. Kellen ducked as a tendril erupted from the wall above his head, its tip crackling with bioelectric energy. How long until the ship kills us? 15 minutes, maybe less, around them. The Velter warriors had stopped attacking and were withdrawing deeper into the ship. They didn't need to fight anymore, their vessel would do the killing for them. All teams, new priority, Kellen ordered. We're not leaving empty-handed. Dex, I need you to find their neural command center. Wolf, take half the team and secure the engine room. I'm going after their commander. The hunt through the dying ship became a nightmare of biological horror. Walls sealed themselves to block human progress, floors turned soft and yielding to slow their advance, and the air itself began to thicken with toxic spores. But humans had evolved to be the ultimate persistence hunters, and desperation made them creative. When Corporal Ames found his path blocked by a wall of living bone, he used thermite charges to burn through it. When the floor tried to digest Private Yates, she used her suit's emergency thrusters to literally fly through the corridors. When the ship's immune system released clouds of acidic spores, the humans sealed their suits and kept advancing. Kellen found the Veltra commander in what might have been the ship's brain, a spherical chamber lined with pulsing neural tissue. The alien was connected to the ship through dozens of biomechanical cables. His consciousness merged with the vessel systems. Human, the commander spoke without turning, his voice a harmony of organic and synthetic tones. You die slowly. Your species dies slowly. This is inevitable. Maybe, Kellen replied, raising his sidearm. But first, you're coming with us. The neural disruptor was Dr. Vasquez's designer weapon that could sever biomechanical connections. Without killing the subject, the Veltra commander convulsed as the device fired, his screams harmonizing with the ship's death song as he was torn away from the vessel's consciousness. 12 minutes later, the human boarding teams extracted with their prize. Behind them, the Veltra bioship died in spasms of failing light, its hull collapsing as the neural network shut down. They lost 8 Marines in the boarding action, but they gained something invaluable. Their first live specimen was already strapped to an examination table in the Meridian's Edge's medical bay, where Dr. Vasquez waited with her instruments and her questions. The real war was about to begin. 2 months after the first capture, the Veltra Dominion's response fleet arrived at the Vega system with a fury that made their previous attacks look restrained. High Executor Crestal commanded 300 bioships, each one larger and more heavily armed than the vessels humanity had faced before. They had learned from their losses, adapted their tactics, and now they came with the full weight of their empire's military might. Admiral Tarek Valdris met them with everything humanity could muster: 137 ships, carrying the combined fleets of Earth, Mars, the Jupiter colonies, and every other human world that could contribute to the war effort. The human vessels were smaller, more fragile, but they carried something the Veltra couldn't understand: the accumulated rage of a species that had been pushed too far. All ships, this is Valdris. Today we settle the debt for New Thiesley. Today we show these butchers what happens when you burn human children. The battle began at extreme range, with both fleets launching massive volleys across the void. Veltra plasma streams crossed with human particle beams, creating brilliant displays of destruction that would have been beautiful if they weren't so deadly. The first ships to die were outliers, a human destroyer caught by focused fire from 3 Veltra vessels, its hull cracking open like an egg to spill its crew into vacuum. A Veltra cruiser fell victim to a coordinated missile barrage, its biomechanical hull writhing in agony as fusion warheads detonated along its length. But as the fleets closed to combat range, the true horror began. Captain Elena Vasquez, no relation to the scientist, commanded the heavy cruiser Prometheus Unbound. When the Veltra unveiled their new weapon, a massive bioship at the center of their formation began to pulse with energy, its hull swelling like a pregnant insect. Then it burst, something a living missile the size of a frigate, its body covered in sensory organs and neural networks. Evasive action, Vasquez screamed, but the bioweapon was already moving, its trajectory shifting to match her ship's evasive maneuvers. When it struck the Prometheus Unbound, it didn't explode, it integrated. The alien organism burrowed through the hull, its tendrils spreading through the ship's corridors like a cancer. Vasquez's crew fought a running battle through their own vessel, pulse rifles chattering against scuttling organisms that had once been part of the bioweapon. The alien invader was learning their ship systems, taking control of life support, navigation, weapons. One by one, her crew fell to creatures that used their own technology against them. All hands, abandon ship, Vasquez ordered, her voice hollow as she watched her tactical officer being consumed by a mass of writhing tendrils. Set auto-destruct. Don't let them have our technology. The Prometheus Unbound died in nuclear fire, taking 17 Veltra organisms with it. But across the battlefield, similar scenes were playing out as more bioweapons launched from the alien fleet. Admiral Valdris watched the carnage from the bridge of Retribution's dawn, his face grim as casualty reports flooded in. They were losing badly. Humanity's technological advantage was meaningless against an enemy That could turn their own ships against them. Sir, reported Commander Kellen from the Meridian's Edge. Dr. Vasquez's team has finished their analysis of the captured Velter commander. We know how their biomechanical integration works, and we can sever it, all of it, every bioship. And their fleet shares the same neural network frequency. If we can generate a broad-spectrum neural disruptor field, Valdres understood immediately. How many ships will we need to sacrifice to get close enough? All of them, sir, except for the ships carrying the disruptor arrays around them. The battle raged on. The human fleet was down to 90 ships and falling fast. But in the depths of space, Dr. Elena Vasquez, the scientist, not the dead captain, worked frantically to complete her calculations. She dissected the captured Velter commander's neural pathways, mapped their biomechanical integration, and found the frequency that connected all Velter technology, all units. This is Valdres. Operation Stellar Side, Phase 1 is now active. All ships without disruptor arrays form up for final assault. We're going to give our science teams the opening they need. 87 human ships charged directly into the Velter formation, their crews singing war songs and shouting defiance as they died. The destroyer Agamemnon ran a Velter bioship. At flank speed, her captain's last words a curse that would be remembered for generations. The frigate Icarus detonated her reactor core inside an alien vessel's launch bay, taking out 3 bioweapons before they could deploy DOT in the chaos of the final assault. 5 human ships the survivors carrying neural disruptor arrays reached optimal range. Dr. Vasquez's weapon fired across all frequencies, a wave of disruption that severed every biomechanical connection. In the Velter fleet, 300 alien ships died in 30 seconds, their crews torn from their vessel's consciousness, their bioweapons reduced to mindless tissue, their empire's greatest fleet reduced to drifting hulks. But humanity's victory came at a terrible cost. Only 5 ships survived the Battle of Vega, carrying fewer than 2,000 souls out of the 50,000 who had entered the system. As the survivors limped toward home, they carried with them the knowledge that would change everything. The Velter could be beaten. Now they just had to survive long enough to use that knowledge. 6 months after Vega, High Executor Crestal S. Revenge Fleet arrived at Sol with the fury of a dying empire. 5,000 bioships emerged from hyperspace at the edge of humanity's home system, their hulls bristling with new weapons and countermeasures designed to neutralize human disruptor technology. They had come to end the war by ending humanity itself. Earth's defenses had been fortified since the first Velter attacks, but nothing could have prepared them for this. Orbital platforms opened fire from maximum range, their particle beams and missile salvos creating a wall of destruction around the inner system. It wasn't enough. The Velter fleet absorbed losses that would have broken any other force and kept advancing, their bioships healing damage almost as quickly as it was inflicted. Admiral Valdres commanded the defense from the battle station Thermopylae, orbiting between Mars and Jupiter. His fleet was the largest humanity had ever assembled. 800 ships drawn from every colony, every military academy, every desperate world that could still launch a vessel. They were outnumbered 6-1, sir, reported Dr. Elena Vasquez. From her laboratory deep within the station, the Velter have adapted to our neural disruptors. Their new bioships use redundant neural networks with frequency shifting capability. Our weapons are only achieving 30% effectiveness through the tactical display. Valdres watched human ships die by the dozens as the Velter advanced. Continued, the aliens had learned from Vega, had evolved their technology to counter humanity's greatest weapon. Soon they would reach the inner system, and then Earth would burn just like New Thiesley. Ma'am, Commander Kellen's voice crackled through the comm from the research vessel Meridian's Edge. What about Operation Stellar Side Phase 2? Dr. Vasquez's face went pale. Boss, that's theoretical. We've never tested it on this scale. We've never needed to. Phase 2 of Operation Stellar Side was humanity's ultimate weapon, the culmination of everything. They learned about Velter stellar manipulation technology, but it required a sacrifice that no one had been willing to make until now. Admiral, Kellen continued, I volunteered to pilot the prototype. Sol is my home system too. Valdres closed his eyes, feeling the weight of command settle on his shoulders, like a funeral shroud. Negative, Commander. I'm taking this one myself, sir. With respect, no arguments. Dr. Vasquez, how long until the Stellar Side Array is ready? 12 hours for full calibration. But Admiral, the pilot won't survive. The resonance feedback alone. I understand the risks, Doctor. All units, This is Valdris. We're implementing the Samson Protocol. Hold the line for 12 hours, whatever the cost. The next 12 hours saw humanity's greatest and most desperate battle. Ships fell like leaves. In a hurricane, the cruiser Leonidas taking 3 Velter vessels with her in a ramming attack. The destroyer Thermopylae detonating her magazine inside an alien bioship's hull. The frigate Achilles burning through space with half her crew dead and still fighting. Captain Yuki Nakamura transferred to the battlecruiser Valkyrie's Vengeance after her previous ship's destruction found herself facing impossible odds. As Velter bioweapons swarmed her vessel, her crew fought hand-to-hand in the corridors, using monomolecular blades against alien organisms that had learned to shrug off pulse rifle fire. "Man," her tactical officer reported, blood streaming from a head wound, "we've lost main power. Life support failing. Recommend immediate evacuation." "Negative," Nakamura replied, emptying her sidearm into a writhing mass of tendrils. "We hold the line. No retreat, no surrender. We're buying time for humanity to save itself." The Valkyrie's Vengeance died with all hands, but her sacrifice bought precious minutes. Across the system, similar scenes played out as humanity paid in blood for every hour of preparation time. 1347 hours, system time. Dr. Vasquez completed her work. The stellar side array was ready, a massive stellartronic resonance amplifier that could turn Sol itself into a weapon, but it required a pilot to guide the stellar manipulation process, and the radiation levels inside the array would be instantly fatal. Admiral Valdris suited up in the station's armory, his hands steady despite the magnitude of what he was about to do. "Dr. Vasquez, are you certain this will work? The mathematics are sound, Admiral. When the resonance field activates, Sol will generate a directed mass ejection toward the Velter fleet. The plasma stream will be confined by magnetic fields, creating a focused stellar beam with the power of a supernova. And the cost? Mercury will be vaporized. Mars will lose its atmosphere. Earth will survive, but the radiation will sterilize everything within the asteroid belt." Valdris nodded grimly. "Better a dead system than a dead species. Initialize the ray, Doctor. Let's show these bastards what happens when you threaten humanity's children." The Admiral's final transmission was broadcast across the human fleet. "All ships, withdraw to minimum safe distance. This is Admiral Valdris, signing off. Remember New Thiesley, remember Vega, remember that humans never surrender." As his ship entered the stellar array, Admiral Valdris felt the stellar radiation begin to cook him alive. But through the pain, he could see the tactical display showing Sol's magnetic field shifting, the star's surface beginning to roil with artificial fury. Humanity's sun was about to become their ultimate weapon. The stellar lance that erupted from Sol's surface was beautiful and terrible in equal measure, a focused beam of plasma and radiation that cut through space like the finger of an angry god. Admiral Valdris died at the moment of firing, his consciousness scattered by stellar energies. But his sacrifice guided the beam with mathematical precision toward the Velter fleet. High Executive Krestal had perhaps 3 seconds to comprehend what was happening before the stellar lance struck his flagship. The bioship simply ceased to exist, vaporized so completely that not even atoms remained. The beam continued through the Velter formation, each ship touched by the stellar fire dissolving into constituent particles. In 9 to 7 seconds, 5,000 Velter vessels were reduced to expanding clouds of ionized gas. The most powerful fleet in their empire's history had been erased by humanity's weaponized sun. Commander Vos Kellen watched the destruction from the bridge of the Meridian's edge, tears streaming down his face as the tactical display showed nothing but empty space where the alien armada had been. Around him, his crew stood in stunned silence, trying to process the magnitude of what they'd witnessed. "All ships, this is Acting Admiral Kellen," he said finally, his voice hoarse with emotion. "The Velter fleet has been destroyed. Repeat, the enemy has been eliminated. Sol Defense Force, begin search and rescue operations for survivors." But there would be few survivors. The stellar lance had sterilized everything within the asteroid belt. Mars was a dead world now, its thin atmosphere stripped away by radiation. The orbital stations around Earth had been evacuated just in time, their crews watching from the outer system as their home became temporarily uninhabitable. Dr. Elena Vasquez joined Kellen on the bridge, her face haggard from months of desperate research. "The radiation levels are dropping faster than expected," she reported. "Earth's magnetic field deflected most of the stellar discharge. The planet will be habitable again within 5 years." and the Velter were detecting hyperspace signatures. Throughout their territory, their empire is collapsing without central command. Some worlds are surrendering, others are going dark entirely. The Dominion is finished. 3 weeks later, Kellen stood in the ruins of New Thiesley Memorial Park on Earth's surface. The ground still warm from residual radiation. The monument was simply a block of fused glass taken from the colony's remains, inscribed with the names of 3 million souls who had died in humanity's darkest hour. They started this war by burning our children, Kellen said to the gathered crowd of survivors, refugees, and military personnel. They thought terror would break us, that showing us their power would make us submit. They were wrong. He looked up at Sol, still burning brighter than it had in eons. It's like carrying the memory of Admiral Valdris's sacrifice and humanity's greatest victory. We are not a species that submits. We are not a species that forgives when they kill. Our innocence. They forgot the fundamental truth about humanity. We are the children of Terra, and we have conquered every challenge our world ever placed before us. Gravity could not hold us to the ground. Vacuum could not keep us from the stars. Distance could not prevent us from reaching other worlds. The crowd was silent, hanging on every word, and when the Velter thought they could use our own sun against us, they learned that humans don't just adapt to their environment, we remake it. We turned their ultimate weapon against them. We made our star into their executioner. Above them, Earth's sky was clearer than it had been in centuries. The radiation, having burned away the pollution of industrial civilization. In the distance, construction crews worked to rebuild the orbital elevators and space stations that would carry humanity back to the stars. The war is over, Kellen concluded, but our story has just begun. We are the species that turned the sun into a weapon. We are the species that chose to burn our own solar system rather than kneel to tyrants. And we are the species that will carry that knowledge to every corner of the galaxy. In the months that followed, human exploration fleets would discover the ruins of the Velter Dominion, thousands of worlds abandoned by their terrified populations, technology left behind by a species that had fled into the dark between stars. Rather than face humanity's wrath, some would call it genocide, others would call it justice. Commander Voskellen, promoted to admiral and tasked with governing humanity's expansion into former Velter territory, preferred to call it a lesson. The galaxy was vast and full of wonders, but it was also full of dangers. And when those dangers threatened human children, humanity would respond with the full fury of a species that had learned to weaponize the very stars themselves. The age of human dominance had begun, written in stellar fire and sealed with the blood of 3 million martyrs whose names would never be forgotten. In the end, the Velter had been right about one thing: the war had been inevitable. They'd just been wrong about who would win it.